So, I had said I was on hiatus, but I've done so much commentary lately, I might as well consider myself returned. So, I want to address this thing that everyone is calling Gamergate 2. Now, every so often, something has emerged in the last 10 years where a bunch of people have rushed in and said, this is Gamergate 2. Okay, or Gamergate Part 2, and that kind of thing. Now, to be abundantly clear, I have no interest in taking part in anything that has the Gamergate label on it, so to all of the people that have been messaging me about this, just go bother someone else. Uh, you and your thing, just go tottering on. I have no desire to be a part of this, but I will address this hopefully to add some higher clarity to everything that's going on. So, first of all, this is not the first time that a Gamergate that someone has proposed in the last 10 years that people have proposed there be a Gamergate 2. One notable event was when a certain person's public accusations of a certain game developer caused him to lose his job, which resulted in him committing suicide. And then, as now, people rushed in to say no, the accusations had no connection whatsoever to the suicide. History repeats itself comically, and yes, I know we have not yet confirmed that James Somerton is dead, but it's still, still stinks of repetition. Anyway, so back then, when that happened, I said, no, we're not going to we don't need to do Gamergate 2, and Gamergate 2 indeed did not happen, and hopefully I can have the same calming effect here, assuming that I had any causal effect on that at all. But anyway, so basically what's happened is there's this company, Sweet Baby Inc. It's a consultation firm that comes in to do the sweetening up of narrative structure and everything for video games, and all they really do is push a bunch of woke DEI crap that everybody's tired of. Okay, and so you have libertarian and conservative commentators talking about this, saying that this, describing it as I just described it, and then you have obviously left-wing commentators trying to downplay the accusation and all of that. Okay, so first of all, this is not the original Gamergate was founded around some purported scandals. This is not a scandal. I'll get to that in a moment. But first and foremost, I want to say I do understand your frustration with the woke, the kind of woke stuff that gets cycled into these games and everything. I completely share your pain. I get it. I understand that. Not too long ago, well, a couple years ago at this point, I really got into Horizon Zero Dawn. I had a blast with it. And then, of course, we unravel the mystery of what happened to this post-apocalyptic landscape, and we find out that this was all what we find out that our ultimate goal basically is to summon a magical black woman to put right the things that were done by an evil white man. And I probably would not have, if in the past, if I had encountered something like that, I probably would not have even noticed it at all. Except, this whole discussion has increasingly dominated the media in recent years. So I'm very, very aware of this being a very conscious and deliberate sort of inclusion right there. And I didn't have any interest, as much as I enjoyed the first Horizon, I have no interest in playing the new Horizon game because I found out that they've decided to make Alloy chunky and heavy set because that will apparently make her more appealing to women. Making Kronos from God of War fat and ugly would not make me want to play more God of War games, but apparently this is some law of logic that women need to play as, they think women need to play as fat, ugly women in order for it to be appealing or something like that. I don't quite get it. But anyway, and that's not me being sarcastic, I really don't get what the logic is there. But that doesn't even work. That doesn't even work conceptually. to have her be to have Alloy be heavy set. This is a woman who spends every day of her life running at top speed across a dangerous post-apocalyptic wasteland. She's not going to have a lick of fat on her body. Anyway, but also, building from that, I have really no interest in saving AAA gaming at this point because most AAA games now are unplayable. I find myself getting into a particular game, learning its mechanics, learning its lore, and all of that, only to get to a point where it's so mind-numbingly, aggravatingly difficult to play that it becomes an exercise in frustration. It's like trying to do it's like the frustration we have trying to get the computer to detect the printer. It's like you have to do that with a time limit. I mean, it's just aggravating frustration, devoid of enjoyment. Lately, I've been playing two games lately. One is Mega Man Legacy, which is the first 6 NES Mega Man games, and the other one has been Twinson's Adventure, which is also known as Little Big Adventure or Relentless, which I got on Steam. That was both were games from my childhood. The latter being one that I never, or the former being one where I only played the first 2 games, and the latter being a game that I played in the store but never really got to sit down with. And so I've been playing these games, and they're fun. The difficulty is just enough to produce a challenge while being fun. And I think what's happened is that AAA gaming has gotten so good at replicating realistic combat scenarios that they've forgotten about replicating fun combat scenarios. I can have one game after another that I have loved the hell out of, and I've just had to give up on because it becomes unenjoyably difficult. Rollerdrome, Control, Far Cry 6, on and on it goes. I was just playing the Tomb Raider, the remastered edition of the Tomb Raider 2013 game, which I had missed when it was new, and so I was just now playing that, getting into that, and I was skipping every single cut sequence because I really don't give a shit about what cliche Michael Bay plot they've hacked together to create this thing. But I was enjoying the game, and then I get to this point where it's not fun anymore. It's like I'm sitting there with a perpetual 1,000-yard stare, just mindlessly trying to get this thing to happen. It's just not fun anymore. It's just not enjoyable. And so my new policy is, if I ever have one of those nights where I'm sitting there for 3.5 hours, Blasphemous, that was another one that I enjoyed, and then it went the same way. If I get to a point where it's just too aggravating and frustrating for me to want to continue participating, I delete it. It's done. I'm not going to keep spending night after night after night stuck on the same mind-numbingly complicated shoot-'em-up scenario. It's done. I want to have fun. And I want to go back and play all the games that I never got around to playing. I wanted to play when I was a kid. All the games that were coming out in the early 90s that I never got around to play. I never got around to playing when I was a kid. They're all $1.99 on Steam. That's fine. So whatever the fuck is happening, that'll keep me going for the next 10 years at least. So whatever the fuck is going on in AAA right now, I don't care. Anyway, so there's that. Now, I'll get back to the actual Sweet Baby thing in a moment. The other thing I want to clarify is the other reason this is not Gamergate Part 2, and I'm not going to participate in Gamergate Part 2 if it is. Remember what was the only thing that happened as a result that Gamergate 1 actually contributed to? What was it? Donald Trump getting elected. The whole reason that thing got rolling was because, no one knew it at the time, but Steve Bannon was going around stirring up these pockets of internet outrage so that so that everyone would get behind Donald Trump. Well, not having Donald Trump as president, and notice, by the way, the timing that Gamergate 2, quote unquote, just seems to happen to be rolling out right as they're trying to get Donald Trump reelected. Notice, just stop for a minute and just understand, Donald Trump not being president matters a hell of a lot more to me than than anything going on in video games. There is no cause on this earth that I can, and I'm not kidding. There's no cause on this earth that I care about more than Donald Trump not being president. I care. You want you want me to choose between Donald Trump being president and not having annoying preachy shit in video games. Sorry, this matters a whole fuck of a lot more. All I care about is Donald Trump not being president. And I am not kidding when I say I don't care. Short of, I don't believe we should not get to the point. We should not be rooting for assassination. I don't want that. I'm not calling for assassination at all. But short of that, there is nothing that I'm not in favor of. I want a stolen election. I want if the will of the people is Donald Trump, I want the will of the people defied by the people in power. I want freedom stricken from the record, if that is what's necessary, to have no Donald Trump in the White House ever again. The only thing I care about is making sure that Captain Manosphere never gets another 4 years in the White House. All right? And I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. Don't just abandon any pretext about that. I don't want to hear about, oh, so you're in favor of destroying the United States if it means keeping Donald Trump out of the White House? Yes! Oh my God, yes! 1,000 times yes! Keeping Donald Trump from being president means that we have to set up detonations around Mar-a-Lago and float it out into the ocean, I don't care. That was an extreme example to try to be funny, but I don't care what we have to do. I don't even care if he dies of natural causes. I'm not going to call for anybody to be assassinated, but if he keeled over just from natural causes, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I don't care. That's the only thing I care about. Rig the ballots. I want to go into the ballot box or into the voting booth on election day. And if I check the Donald Trump box, I want it to make a buzzing noise and go up and check Joe Biden instead. Just and goes to Joe Biden. Like, you can't even do it. I want everything done to stop Donald Trump from being president. And all of the annoying woke shit this is it's not stuff I like, but it is stuff that they get you to care about so that you will think that re-electing the orange howler monkey is a good thing. So anyway, that's where I am. I care about not having Donald Trump in the White House, and I care about having a democratically controlled Senate and Congress that will make abortion the law of the land. And no, I don't care what other fallout happens from that. Yes, I'm happy with killing babies. I have a totally settled conscience about it. Don't pester me about that shit. Anyway, so let's get back on this actual Sweet Baby Inc. scandal or thing. Okay. The main reason that this is not Gamergate 2 is because Gamergate 1 was built around a scandal, or at least a purported scandal. Now, to be very clear, I am not here to relitigate the validity of that scandal. If you write into me telling me how wrong the people calling that a scandal are, or you write into me telling me how right that was to be a scandal one way or the other, I will delete and block you. We're not here to have that conversation. I'm just bringing this up for historical relevance. But it was based around the whole original Gamergate launched because of a scandal, a purported scandal, namely that there was a female game developer that was purportedly sleeping with a number of men within the gaming industry and games journalism that could serve to benefit her career. Okay, that was the scandal. Now, that on its face, yes, would be scandalous. That would be an example of ethical malfeasance. And again, we're not here to litigate whether or not it was. If you try to argue it one way or the other, I'm going to delete and block you. I don't care how long you've been on my channel. Anyway, the point being, that would be an example, that in and of itself would be a description of something unethical. These companies hiring Sweet Baby Inc. to come in and spruce up their games with woke DEI crap, that's their prerogative. That's their initiative. If they want to, they're right. If they want to bring that in, that's fine. And just as it's your right not to play those games. So it's not a response to some great scandal. It's maybe yes, it's something you don't like, but as far as ethics, it's completely within their right to bring people in and do stuff like that to their games. That's their decision and their call. So it's not a scandal. It's not scandalous. But the thing you have to understand is you're not in the same place you were 10 years ago with the original Gamergate. This whole thing of everybody being sick and tired of woke crap being imposed on entertainment media, we're already talking about, there's an open dialogue. It's not controversial to have this dialogue anymore. There is an open dialogue about how tired people are of this stuff. You're not an unrepresented minority that the media sphere at large is trying to force out of the discussion altogether. You're part of the discussion now. You don't need to act like a bunch of jackbooted thugs to kicking doors open this time. You're part of the discussion, and this discussion's already happening on much larger levels than the gaming industry. Disney itself, look at the incredible, unbelievable negative backlash to woke Snow White, as people are calling it, or woke Snow White, woke Little Mermaid. Disney is losing massive amounts of money. One of the, if not the biggest entertainment companies in the world is losing massive amounts of money. And that is, and they're losing money, and they're having to reevaluate whether or not they want to do this. One woke infused project after another goes belly up. And already people are openly having this discussion, openly having this dialogue. Now, here I have to jump in and say, because inevitably someone's going to say, well, what's wrong with having more diverse inclusion of people, blah, 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 blah. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with diversity, diverse people, a diverse group of people appearing in a creative project. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The problem, to be perfectly blunt about it, is every time people turn on they turn on the new remake or the new adaptation, and oh look, all of the redheaded white people have been replaced by are now being portrayed by black actors, and oh look, the beautiful woman is now a plain Jane heavy-set woman, and so on and so forth. Every time, and oh look, a gay couple is engaged in a plot line that would only make sense if a heterosexual couple was doing it. Read my commentary on the novel Winter's Orbit for or watch my commentary on the novel Winter's Orbit for an example of what I'm talking about there. But anyway, all of that becomes annoying, and the reason it becomes annoying is because, to be perfectly frank about it, everyone that has a problem with this has a problem with it because they know that the underlying message is, hey, the people who made this think you're an asshole, and this is being done to remind you that you're an asshole. And people don't like that. And even if that's not your intention, that's what's coming across. And so that's the reality of where we're at now. But the thing is there anything wrong with having gay characters, having gay characters, having heavily involved female characters, having black actors on screen, and everything else? No, nothing wrong with that at all. The problem is when people, activist creatives, use these minorities to smack people in the face. Think about the Disney movie Soul. It was such a big hit. It got universal critical acclaim. Everybody loved it. It was about a black actor interacting with a largely black cast and dealing largely with the world of jazz music, which is a historically black art form. Was anyone complaining about wokeness in that? No. Was anyone complaining about diversity, equity, and inclusion? No. Absolutely not. Everybody just loved the movie and they loved the character. He was a great character. It was a great story. The appeal of his story appealed to human universals that are going to appeal to people irrespective of race, irrespective of gender, irrespective of sexual orientation, all of that. He was just a great character. And that's the thing. That's what people have lost sight of. And I join you. In being frustrated with that. That is annoying. That is annoying. It would be great if we could use the massive this wide array of diverse this highly diverse group of people that now have access to participate in the entertainment industry. It would be great if they could do things that were interesting and exciting and innovative rather than being used as token pawns in this ongoing dialogue the entertainment industry is having with the buying public, where they say, we hate you, buy our thing. But anyway, last and not least, the reason you don't need it to be Gamergate 2 is because whether you believed in Gamergate or not, Gamergate is a fundamentally toxic, dead brand. I used to, for about 10 years of my life, I wrote corporate ad copy and worked in brand marketing. And all of the fine, the descriptive fine print you read on advertisements and things like that. That was the kind of thing I wrote. Ghost wrote it freelance. And if my team and the team I was a part of, and the consultancy team I was a part of, had been brought in on this, we would never call it Gamergate. Gamergate is a toxic brand. It's a dead brand and it's a toxic brand. You cannot resurrect this brand. You can't do it. It's dead. You need to call it something else. It would be like calling it resurrecting Gamergate as a brand would be like saying we're going to have a brand that's called blood leaching thalidomide lobotomy. Like these are words you don't want to bring into anything that's going to inspire confidence or inspire legitimacy or anything like that. So whether you believed in Gamergate or not, it's a dead brand, and bringing it up is only going to make you look worse. Think about it this way. The so-called the Temple of Satan, or the Satanic Temple, made a lot of noise recently by trying to say that abortion access should be protected because they have a sacred ritual called it was like the Satanic Abortion Ritual or something like that. And so they were trying to get secure legal access to abortion on the basis of that. It's like, dude, no, you're not helping. You're not helping. By you already have the right wing that's anti-abortion already. The right wing that's anti-abortion is already calling this satanic, and you're going to show up and validate what they're saying? No, your brand is too toxic. Stay away. So if you want to have any real change, you want to make any real impact here, focus on making thoughtful, intelligent arguments, going patiently and slowly and carefully, and not just barreling crazy, going into being a bull in a china shop. Just focus on contributing in a thoughtful and proactive way. And, for God's sake, I would extend to you the same advice that I've extended countless times to so-called woke activists who think that they're not being properly represented in games. If you don't like what the game companies are making, start making your own. God knows that's never been easier than it is now. Anyway, there you go.